Roads? It's the Ernest Hancock Show. Where we're going, there aren't any roads.
Hello. Welcome back to Declare Your Independence of me, Ernest Hancock. It seems like we got the phone thing taken care of. What we're trying to do is we're trying to do the Skype so we can see her, the video. We don't have the audio from the Skype going into the thing. We're doing whatever. It doesn't matter. You don't care. But we want to make sure that we're getting her taken care of. You know, that's another thing, Mike. We need to be able to make sure that when she's coming out and hearing her, you know, she can go out through the system. You know, I need to be able to have her mic audio that's coming into the system going out. You know, I thought she can hear me on her Skype. This isn't going through here for her to hear me on the computer through the Skype thing. So I need the mic to go into the computer here or something. Yeah, you know, computer geek stuff. We keep learning all kinds of things. That's what we're doing. Magna Carta. What happened is that we start this deal, and it goes on. If you look at the history, it goes on, then the next deal, and the next deal, and the next deal, and the next. All of a sudden, you know, it starts waning. It starts going down. Less respect for individual rights. More and more tightening. You know, we learned our lesson. You know, we saw how they did this. You don't want to have the people having too much power. I tell you, there was one article we did in the mid-'90s that in a libertarian newspaper that we did here called Arizona Libertarian, that we used to have newspaper boxes all around the city and so on. We were real buttheads. In there, it was when they started doing PGP. Pretty good protection, the encryption. When you first started doing email, see, a lot of you guys, you know, I don't know, heck, you're probably not even born then, you know, some of you in diapers, you know, or whatever, are very young. When we started first getting our emails in 93, 94, we're going, oh, bad guys are done. We were able to bypass the machine. I'm going to give you an example so you'll understand why we did this one article called Crossbows to Cryptography. Let me write that down so I don't lose my thought. Crossbows crypt. Okay? This is what they did. When you are the king and you have control and you only know how to maintain control from force. Hey, man, you know, I got the longbow. I can nail everybody, you know, from a distance. You can't even touch me, and your farmers out whenever I win. I got my armor, my knights on horses, and, you know, mow through you like grass, okay? I mean, you know, we win. Well, that's where you get the Braveheart thing and the long spears, and there's always something, okay? To come back and freedom reigns for a little while. Well, what they did is they made a law. They go, we don't want untrained farmers to have the ability to resist us. Well, what was it that would go through armor? The crossbow. And they go, you know, it's easy to learn how to do. It was, blacksmiths could make the bow part. I mean, it was fairly, you know, easy to make, and the bolts were like bullets, and they'd go right through armor, man. There's the armor-piercing arrows. Boom, done. We went. And they were easy to aim and so on. You didn't have to have the strength or the training to be able to do like the longbow, crossbow, kick butt. So they go, crossbows are outlawed. You're not allowed to have crossbows. You're not allowed to have automatic weapons. You're not allowed to have whatever it is that's going to be a threat to the authority of the we. So they said, nope, can't do that. Well, the reason was what? Because the ability to resist their authority. In the 93, 94, they had a gentleman, I can't remember his name, Zimmerman or something like that. He created pretty good protection that was able, just went to a phone booth and just did, you know, modems, and he uploaded it to these bulletin boards, this encryption that had a public and a private key. Now, I know all you computer geeks out here are going to slap me around. I didn't say it right, but this is basically how it worked. I had randomly, you know, I mean, now it's much more sophisticated, but it sure as heck worked then. I would be able to have a public key and a private key. That's how it worked. If I sent an email encrypted, okay, with my private key, I'd send it out. You could only open that encrypted email if you had my public key that everybody had. The benefit of that was that you would know it came from me. I had the private key. If you wrote me something in my public key and encrypted it and sent it to me, I would the only person to be able to open that encrypted email would be the person that had the private key to unlock the public key. So I could send stuff out, and you would only be able to open it with the public key. You knew it was from me, but if you're sending stuff to me, well, then the only person to be able to read that was if the person that opened it with the private key. So you had two pieces of this thing. Now, the public key you may only give to certain people, and it's as secure as you trust somebody else, but especially stuff coming to you with your public key was encrypted. The Clinton administration freaked out about this. Janet Reno, she's Attorney General. They're going, oh, heck no. We got to be able, publicly, they're demanding we need to have access to all fax machines, phones, all encryption. That's illegal. That is a munition. It is a war implement. They are trying him, saying, oh, man, he's munition violation. It's like exporting computer chips to China or something. Because this went out on the internet, it went over international borders, munitions violation, right? So there was the algorithm or something, the encryption or whatever it was, they were saying that he was doing this so people would start printing it on T-shirts and get in front of news cameras and say, go get NBC, they're sending this encryption out, blah, 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 blah. So a lot of activism was going on back then. Eventually, they kind of made a deal and dropped the case, and we'll do the history on that one time. Maybe we'll get some of the guys involved in that over the years, because this is a long time ago for me. This is almost 15, 17 years ago. So you go, all right, we knew that the man didn't want that. What did you hear from the Clinton administration? We need to have what they called clipper chips. They wanted, now, of course, it's for the children. It's for us to encrypt, and adults get to, pick what can and can't come in their TV so that, pornography isn't seen by their 6-year-old kind of thing. The nanny government, they want to take care of us. Well, it also gave them the ability to go straight into communications that may be encrypted, and they didn't want anything to be encrypted, like fax machines and digital transmissions and stuff. Then you started getting into color printers and so on. They wanted to be able to, who's making all these copies? Who's printing this stuff? Then Electronic Freedom Foundation, they figured out the code that is done in very light little yellow dots on all color printers, right, not later. It has the serial number of the printer, which they could link to you by, you bought it with a credit card at Fry's Electronics or something, so they got you right there. Then they have, the positioning of the dots. They have the date that it was done, okay? So, and some other information in there, whatever they can get away with. So we're going, okay, all right, where does it stop? It doesn't. They want to be able to track any and everything. It's like Soviet Russia. What did they do? They were, had under strict control all printing presses, all fax machines, and everything. Then we saw in China during the Tiananmen Square, what was the biggest threat to them then? Fax machines. They were doing whatever fax machine, digital transmission. This battle has always been going on. What is the next one? WikiLeaks. It's just, you're not allowed to share. You're not allowed to tell people. That's why when we do all this TSA stuff, we do all our activism, and we bring in the officers and the local whatever, and we say, look, we just want to know, are we allowed to complain? Are we allowed to dissent? Are we allowed to protest? Are we allowed to use a First Amendment? And that when we put it in that way, they look at it and they go like, well, preferably not, but, I said, hey, because you think this is about some protest of whatever. You think it's about this one little thing. What are you going to do? I'm going to convince everybody that government's really, 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 really bad? Seriously? That's what we're looking at? That's what we're, trying to convince everybody of? That's what our goal is? No, that's not what the problem is. It is, are we allowed to complain about it? Are we allowed to show it? Are we allowed to take their own words and put it around their neck? We're not? Well, that's something I need to know. I need to know that. And around the world this is going on. And it's being controlled by the same people. When we come back at the top of the hour with Adrian Pine, we're going to see how it's affecting Latin America and how the people are dealing with it there. Yep. Got a little bit more to share with you. We'll be right back.